Welcome to Ask Sue London. This is the show that helps people and pets cope, heal, and move forward. I'm your host, Sue London, and I'm really excited to say that you've come to the right show today. If you are a pet owner or have lost a pet or you've lost a loved one, this show is going to bring you peace. It's going to bring you comfort, and you may even experience a healing as we're talking about signs, and you're going to hear an amazing story from an amazing lady, and so much more. So this is going to be basically a show that you can say, we're going to expect the unexpected. Now, my guest today is a lady that you've heard me talk about on other segments when I had Luann Hunt on, or with my Earth Angel, Tiago de Souza. This lady, her name is Cindy Karch, and she came to me as a client. And she's just an incredible lady that has a story to share. And I think instead of me just constantly going on about how great she is, and I'm so proud of her in so many ways, that I'm just going to let her share her journey of how we met, and then I'll share what happened to me. So, my dear Cindy, welcome to the show. Did I say your last name right this time?
Yes, you said it just fine. No
I
problem.
did. Perfect. Okay, great. Okay, so we were talking earlier that pronunciations and stuff like that. So I got to say, I said this in the intro just now. I am very proud of you when I say that you have come
Thank you.
so far, and where you started, it was a rough road for you, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you share how it was meant to be of us meeting? Share your journey.
Okay. Yeah, it's been that was about 4 months ago this all started, and things have propelled in a whole different positive direction ever since. So what happened was, I'm going to back it up a little bit. In 2021, just so the viewers understand, my husband and I lost two German Shepherds 7 months apart. I was stuck in that grief for a very long time, up until this past September, actually. And what happened was, a friend of mine sent me Luann's link to a podcast with you. And it was all about the abilities that you have to communicate with your pets that have passed over. And when I watched this, I dropped everything I was doing. I watched it right away. And all that kept going through my head was, this lady can help me. This lady can help me. So I actually wrote an email to Luann, and I said, the second year anniversary of my boy Jax's passing is coming up. This lady is world renowned, but since you're friends with her, do you think she could squeeze me in on September 18th, which is the actual date? And I didn't know this. I didn't hear back from her. Little did I know that she sent you that email. And then the next
Right.
day, to my surprise, in my mailbox is a direct message from you saying, yeah, I made room. I rearranged my schedule. I understand how important this date is for you, and I'm going to make it happen. And of course, I started crying.
Now, can I add now to tell everybody what
Absolutely.
happened at my end during that exact time? So what happens for me is that when either a pet or a person on the other side crosses over and they want me to help their loved one who's here, they a lot of times will use my phone to get me to be aware I've got to be doing something, some form of action, that I'm needed somewhere. And so this was early in the morning when Luann had sent me your information, like what you had wrote her. And how I found out, I was laying in bed, it was early in the morning, and my phone was on my bedside table. And I got my phone here in my hand, and it was going around in circles, and it was like jumping. And when this happens, it happens a lot when there's something urgent I have to deal with. And it was doing that when Luann had sent me the message. And then I felt, as I was getting that there was a woman that was very, 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 very sad, that I knew whatever it was, I needed to help her. And that was you. So that's
Yep.
how it started for me. And then that's when I knew, like when you said about the Monday, that was the anniversary, your dog was with me and saying, please fit my mommy in, please change your schedule. And so that's what I did. I knew that was so important for Jax to help you on that day. So now what happened next for you?
I just want to add in this is that the funny thing is I didn't know, I couldn't possibly know any of that already happened and that Jax already showed up. So
Mm,
I took the liberty and sent you a photo of him to say, listen, there might be other shepherds that show up, but this is the one that I want to talk to. And then you wrote
yeah,
back and said, he's already here. And
I
that was
know,
pretty
right.
cool.
Yeah,
Because I know,
yeah.
like, his buddy Harley, the one that died 7 months earlier, she showed up, plus our other shepherd showed up, and my mom showed up. I mean, you couldn't have possibly known about, I mean, I think you knew about Harley, but you didn't know about Hannah. I don't even think you knew about my mom yet. So
No, no.
everything blew my
And
mind. So,
and that's also like what I want to point out to people, that like I always say to people, expect the unexpected when we work together, because I don't just like, you could say, yeah, I'm coming just for my pet, but if there's others that they have something to tell you that's important, some people who maybe kind of do similar stuff to what I do will say, no, you're only going to get one message. But I think to give somebody a real healing, that, for me, I want to honor and do that. Whoever comes through, you're going to learn from and hear from, because you need to hear from them or they wouldn't come through. Right. So yeah. And also what happens for me too is that I just did an event this week, and before I did the talk, I started feeling like my nose was stuffed up, and I was thinking, okay, I'm not getting sick, and I was starting to have these physical and emotional things happening to me. And I thought, okay, this is crazy. Like, what? Who's this? Because that's how I know when someone's with me from the other side, or I'm going to be helping that person with that going on. So it turned out during that talk that two people had come to the event, and the symptoms I were feeling was, the one part of it was from the one person that was on the call, and the other was from another person on the call. So when you said, Jax was already
wow.
there, this is what happened. So, that show, what's that show, Ghost Whisper? That's my life.
Yes, I
I never
remember that
know.
show.
I see someone's like, okay, and who are you? So
Right?
crazy, right, Cindy?
Yeah.
So,
So
so
as we
tell
have our
yeah,
session back in September, if you want me to continue, I'll continue.
yeah, yeah. Just say
I
shut
want
up,
people to
Sue. Let me
know.
finish.
I just want people to know that I was severely stuck in my grief. I was a
Yeah,
counselor for decades, and even with all my training and all the people I've counseled over the years, I couldn't move past this. I mean, losing two 7 months apart, but losing him broke me. So
yeah,
I was thinking to myself, how's this going to go? What's going to happen? What's he going to say? I think I
mhm,
spoke to you for 2 hours because the messages just kept coming to you. And there
yeah,
was a couple of things that were said that there was no way in the world you could have known. And I want people to know this, is that some of the details that you passed on from Jax made it confirm. I mean, I already believed or I wouldn't have contacted you. But for anyone who's
yeah,
skeptic, the details that you told me that came from him were 100% on the mark. And even Harley had a little chat with you, our girl. And
yeah,
I told my husband, it was about 2 weeks after she passed away, because we don't have any human kids. We only had our shepherd kids. And I told
right,
my husband, I said, I was arrogant to think that I was the matriarch of our little family all this time. And I looked at him, I said, no, Carly was the matriarch, and Jax was in charge of being the leader of security. And then
right,
the only people that know that was Henry, my husband. What do you
right.
tell me that Jax tells you? And Harley says to you, oh, yeah, tell my mama that I know that I was the matriarch of the family. Used that
Yeah,
specific word. I nearly fell off my chair.
yeah,
And then Jax kept piping up to you apparently, and he was saying, and I know I was the leader, because every time I left the house, I would say, okay, Jax, you're in charge of security. Harley, you're in charge. So
yeah,
for
right.
him to tell you he knew he was, because he was did perimeter checks and security checks, he was the leader, he was the boss of protection, and she was more the compassionate caregiver matriarch. So the fact that you
Mhm.
said those two definitive with their personalities, and I just cannot believe. So everything else that was coming through, and the fact that Jack sent Tucker to us, who's he's a year and a half old now. He's a German Shepherd.
Yeah,
For
right.
people out there, I did not want another dog after this because I said no more devastating goodbyes. But what happened was he ends up being the nephew, the great nephew of our girl Harley, and the direct nephew of my boy Jax. How could I say no?
Mhm.
Plus, he was returned,
Yeah.
so he was going to go into the whole system of being rehomed, but we intervened and we have him, and he's my boy now.
And you know the reason why you got him too, right? That's, we talked about, he's just brought so much life to you guys again, right? And fun, you've often heard you and I talk, Cindy, about how our buddy, because my Gus crossed over and he sent Buddy to us, and like we have now started the doing my shorts twice a week with the adventures of Buddy because he's so crazy. And Tucker and Buddy could be the same dog because they're both so crazy fun. By the way, did I tell you that many times I keep feeling that Jax keeps telling me you need to have more fun and be having videos created for you and Tucker, that you really need to be showing that side of the new pet in your life kind of thing, right? And that's
Yes,
the
and the funny
adventures of
thing is
Tucker,
that
like adventures of Buddy.
I do
What's that?
videotape him every day. I try to catch him doing funny things. I just never thought about making it into something. But he
Yeah,
does,
yeah,
I didn't know I needed him until he was here. And even at the very beginning of getting him, I was still a little
yeah,
bit detached because I was afraid to love. And then he taught
yeah.
me I could love
Common.
again,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it
Very,
was
very
one
common
night,
too.
like he jumps into bed with us at night. He tucks us in. It's funny. His name's Tucker. And when he's done tucking us in, he takes off and goes on the nice cool bathroom floor. But one night when he was tucking us in, this wave of love came over me. I don't know where it came from. And I looked at my husband and I
Mhm.
said, "Remember this moment?" He said, "Why?" I said, "Because this is the moment I fell in love with Tucker." He's like, "Really?" I said, "Really. I'm all in."
Yeah,
It's been,
yeah.
it's been that way ever since. And then actually, since speaking with you, I just feel
Mhm.
so much more free, and I feel a difference with Tucker. Almost, he doesn't look at me differently. Maybe he does, but I think he's just more relaxed. And I am starting
Yeah.
to have more fun with him since September. It's been about 4 months now. He helps me get my steps in, which I need.
There you
So I
go.
get all my steps in. I chase him around the backyard. We're doing this, that, and the other thing together. He just makes me laugh. And, every day I tell him the same stuff I used to tell Harley and Jax, I'm glad you're my
Well, and
best friend. Thank you for being my friend.
I was going to say, I think that now, like, pets know where we are emotionally, and
Yeah.
Tucker knows now he's accepted. And if in the beginning he didn't feel that because you were still connected to Jax, and that's so common. You work with people in grief counseling, and I've lost pets myself, and we all go through that. You lose a pet, you love that pet, and some pets are harder to lose than others because we've had like past life regression. Like if you go through that process, you've been with them in other lifetimes. And I know for me, it hit me hard when Gussie crossed because we had been together in 11 lifetimes. And so, like, his reason for crossing was to tell me that, Mom, it's my time and I have to help you grow bigger. And I can do that for you from the other side. And it was literally like, my story, Cindy. It was 2 days later. That's when my first award came. And I've had received 4 awards since July 30th. And thank you, Gussie. And every time I go up on stage, he's right beside me, like grinning. So I guess what I want to say to everyone who's watching this recording is that our pets, our loved ones never ever leave us. They're always there. And, we get signs, we can have thoughts come to us. Those are messages. We can have dreams. That's how they connect with us. You can feel them through a cold temperature, lights flashing, phones rebooting. Jack's connected with me through my phone jumping, as many pets do that with me. Um, so what was I going to say next? So the one thing I gave you to do was to write, correct?
Yes, you encouraged me to write about the story of Jax, and
Yeah.
also, just I couldn't write it without including some of Harley in it because they were two peas in a pod. So I never really
Right.
got around to doing it right away. And then this one day, out of the blue, I was just relaxing and taking everything in. I was watching TV, but I wasn't really paying attention. And all of a sudden,
Mhm.
these thoughts kept going through my head, and I thought, "Oh, I got to remember that. That would be good for my story." And then a few minutes later, something else popped in my brain. So I took out my phone, and literally one letter at a time, it just flowed out of me. I don't know where it came from. It probably would have taken 10 minutes on a keyboard, but it took about 45 on the phone. And I wrote
So
the
you know it was
entire
Jax, right?
story.
You do know it was
It was
Jax.
Jax. It was
It was
Jax.
Jax.
I totally believe
Yes.
it. I told because it was just too easy. It was way too
Yeah.
easy, and it came from the heart. And everybody that's read it has shed a few
It's a good
tears over
story.
it, and I'm very proud of it.
And so, do you remember me saying right and that, it would be published and you really had to share? So I remember
Yes,
that
you gave me
because
the
that dog of
the
yours
loving
has
kick
been
in the
saying
butt,
to me, exact.
the
Well,
loving
it's
kick
not
in the
just me,
butt
it's
that
your
I
dog
needed.
kicking my butt to kick your butt, right? So
Everybody's
tell
telling me,
everybody,
get it going. So,
and
so
tell everybody what happened.
I sent it out to a whole bunch of magazines. Well, I mean, I wrote it right before Christmas. The Christmas came. Then we had a death in the family. So everything got postponed, postponed, postponed. It wasn't until just
Yeah,
last week, right after the holidays, I finally sent it out. And this
yeah,
whole last week, well, within the first hour, because of different time zones, because I sent it out internationally, I'm getting
mhm,
emails back, midnight, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and I keep my phone on 24/7. So every time it vibrated, I checked, and it was people from Australia, the UK, India, Dallas, Texas. There's Everybody wants to publish the story. So there's a few other people that are
mhm.
pending. There's still a few I'm waiting to hear from. It's early. It's only been not even a week yet. So
Yeah,
I'm
just the
on
beginning.
a whole different journey now, and it's all thanks to you for helping release whatever needed to be released and take the healing that you gave me from Jax, because I'm much more focused on getting the story out there, and not only that, just like the mind, body, and spirit, you know,
Mhm,
just I started to learn how to meditate because I tried years ago, lost interest, but I don't know what it is,
mhm.
how you and I connected, and maybe it has to do with Jackson, everybody, but I'm learning how to
Yes,
meditate now. So thank you
yeah.
very much for that. And just so
You're
many different
welcome.
things are happening. And I want people to
Well,
know something too. Something, I just mentioned this a second ago. We had a death in the family a couple of days before
mhm,
Christmas, and it was my husband's brother. And I'm telling you, Tucker, as you know, I mean, everybody knows that our pets absorb and they can tell what our energy is. And so, with my husband's
mhm,
sadness and my anxiety, not knowing how to help my husband, and I, I emailed Sue and I said, I just want to know what I could do for Tucker because there's been a death in our family, yada, yada, yada. And Sue said to me, you know what? I'm going to call you at 6 o'clock if you're available, and I'll tell you what to do for Tucker. So she
mhm,
calls me at 6 o'clock, and what I thought was going to be a quick little few minutes to talk about how to help Tucker ended up being a complete hour of something that we did not expect because my husband's brother showed up. Now, I have to tell everybody, Sue does not know my husband. She does not know his brother. She does not know the type of relationship they had. They could have been best friends, they
mhm,
could have been enemies. She had no idea.
mhm.
The stuff she was saying through his brother had my husband in tears, and happy tears because he needed to hear this stuff. The
Yeah,
details you were saying to him, there's no way in the world you could have known. And when I was looking
right.
at his face about halfway through the talk we were having, it was like 10
Mhm.
years lifted off his face. He just looked so
Good.
much better. And ever
Yeah.
since that day, he talks to his brother all the time. So when you were finally done your session with him, you and I
Yeah.
wanted to chit chat. So I came into here into the office. And then
Mhm,
I could hear Tucker. barking his head off. And I remember saying to you, oh, it's probably just his girlfriend walking by. He's got a dog down the street. Every time she walks by, he barks. And Henry heard me say that. And he came running to the office and he says, no, no, it's not the girlfriend. He says, I'm talking to my brother out loud. And he says, Tucker's staring up and barking at nothing. And he says, tell Sue, I know it's my brother. And he goes, tell Sue I talk to him every day. So
Yeah.
he talks to him every day, and I want you
I
guys
don't
to
know if
know
you
that
can,
it's
I don't know if you
freedom.
can see this. But I have tears in my eyes right now because for me to hear this and to hear that both you and your husband have had this huge awakening and healing because you just needed to know you had your dog that was and is there. And as you know, Jack still channels through me. And how often do you get a text from me? Even before we got on the call, Jax is already giving me more homework for you, right? And for your husband to be in this place that it was not open or like aware, and now he's grown so much that to me this is so incredible, and I'm so grateful that I could play this part or be a part of your both your journeys to help you to have this connection. Because would you say it's fair to say that what was the most healing for both of you was that you were able to connect with them? Would you say that was it, and that you knew they were okay? Would you say that would be
Yeah,
it?
knowing
Was
that
that
for sure is that they're
mhm,
okay. And I think the most healing thing is knowing that they are with us, because people say that,
right?
and everybody wants to
Yeah,
believe that in life, that, oh yeah, they're still with you, and people write that in sympathy cards. They're watching over you. You haven't, but it's like, is it real? It's real, and it's
yeah,
true, and they're here all the time. So now I find myself talking to my dogs every morning and asking them to guide me on my day, you know?
yeah. And that's exactly what everyone needs to be doing. I know I've been. I don't know if maybe many of you know this. I know Cindy, you know this, that I'm doing these series of talks, free talks now for everybody. They're the Ask Sue London live talks, and I do them the second and the fourth Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. Eastern time. This one I'm doing on January 23rd is for the healing power of pets. And I'm going to do the talk, one of the talks in February. It'll be posted on my website, but it's going to be how to connect to your loved one. So that's what I'm going to do that talk on. So because that's where the part where we're in a new dimension where the veil between our worlds are so thin now that people who were never able to connect before are connecting. And that's where all this growth is happening for everybody, right? Like, look where you were 4 months ago, and look at you're now being published. And I'm so proud of you, Cindy. Like, you were published before. Let's like get that out. You've gone through having you were a published author, right? How many books have you got
Yes, yes.
published? Right?
One book for
So,
adults to read, and then I have 10 children's picture books. That's a whole series with the same character. So I
right?
did that
So,
probably about
you know,
10 years ago.
well, like Jax, I think what I brought this up before, like Jax wants his own book series, just as like Gussie said to me, he wants his own children's book because our Rocky got his own children's books. And so it's kind of like you and I are now like, okay, so come on, you get yours done, I'll get mine done, and we cheer each other on because I know
Yes.
that, the journey, like what I went through, you have gone through for a reason too. And now it's like, let's get out there. And you've got Jax and all your other puppies and brother-in-law, everyone's cheering, and your mom, all cheering you on. And there's like, this is just the beginning of the greatness for you. I'm
I
so
hope
happy
so.
for you, Cindy. I really am.
Like, I couldn't have done it without that first step of contacting you back in September. And then,
Yeah,
because I was stuck in my grief so
you
much, I
were.
couldn't do anything. I wouldn't be able to write a story back in September, not until I had
Yeah,
that session. And it just opened up the ability to be able to write again and express myself again. Everything just kind of came to a halt for 2 years. And that's a long
yeah,
time to be stuck.
yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
can't
Oh,
thank you enough for that. It changed everything.
you're very welcome. And you had and still have and will always have this very strong connection with Jax. And,
Yeah.
sometimes people say, well, I don't normally have this happen. We do have pets come into our life that we do have stronger connections with. And all our pets are there with us and stay with us. And, sign up for my newsletter, watch my website, because this is what people are wanting and needing now, and that's what I'm going to be offering more of now. One of the things, Cindy, I did for you as well, and I know you're. We were talking about this before. I gave you during your session. I was doing a lot of healing on you. And then with your
Yes.
husband, I was sending him healing as well to help him to deal with the emotional pain of the loss and that. And that's also something that, if you're watching this show, that is also what I do to help people, because it's not just a matter of words. Yes, it's a big part hearing the message from your pet, but I like to complement that with giving you the emotional healing, because you need to have that extra support, because it can be, you said, like 2 years of your life came to a halt, right? And I
Yes. Now
understand that.
you're a Reiki
You know,
master, correct?
I am, and I teach people how to do Reiki on pets, people, as
Yes,
well
and
as
I
their
will be
plants.
taking level 1.
Oh, look at you. Well, that's, you know what, and that we talked about that, right? That was going to be really another step. And what I like it about it for you is that it's going to open you up even more. Like, this has really opened you up spiritually, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. It
you've been
has.
really aware of your brother-in-law, and I know you were sending me apparition pictures and feelings you
Yes.
were having, and like they were right on the nose. And so when you have your Reiki training, that's going to even open you even more and more. And it's going to even change your writing as well. I know you were saying, like, you're starting to channel, right? When you write, like it's just coming out of you.
Well, yeah, it happened with that story about Jackson. It happened to me when I wrote the story about my mom as well, because I always used to say, I think my mom wrote my book for me, at least the part about her, because it just
Yep.
came to me. So, but I just want to
Right.
backtrack for 1 second to let people know that when you send healings to people, I want people to know that very quickly. My husband has an injury that gives him 24-hour headaches, and I'm not exaggerating. He's had a headache for 13 years straight, and all it does is fluctuate in severity every day. I don't know what kind of healing you did that one time, but my husband woke up in the morning without a headache for the first time. Now, it did come back because he does have a condition, but for the first few hours when he woke up, he was headache free. And he looked at me and he says, I don't know what Sue did to me. He goes, ask her to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
and I will
I just
say
want you
that
guys to know it works.
yeah, and I know myself that I do not take full credit for it, because the way that healing works from me is that I'm working with a higher source. I work with God energy, Jesus energy, and their energy comes through me. And before I even got my Reiki training, my hands would heat up as a child. And I was just drawn to put my hands on animals. And I can remember, like, I got nicknamed by my family the dog stalker. I want to say right now, I'm not a dog stalker, but when an animal needs healing, like, I'm drawn to them. And you'll learn this, Cindy, when you have your Reiki. You just know that they need a healing. And so when I do healing now, like I'm very grateful to say that with the abilities that come through me, and I do, like my dog Rocky, he had a tumor in his paw, and he was, at the time, I guess he was like 14 years old, and the vet had said he wanted to amputate his leg. And I said, you are not doing that to my dog. That's not a quality of life, and I'm not going to accept that. And so all I did was I just held his paw, and I had the healing come through me to him, and within 2 weeks the tumor was completely gone. He never had his leg
Wow.
amputated. And I've
Wow.
had another dog come to me, and she was blind, and the dog said I was going to help her see again. And I thought, I do not, like, ever tell an owner something like that, because I don't want people to get their hopes up. And I saw the dog every week for 4 weeks, and the dog got her healing back. And so
Wow.
it's just incredible that this energy that's coming through me, it's like God energy.
Yep.
that I'm really grateful to share. And, to hear that your husband can wake up in the morning and be pain free, and, to be able to help my own pets and other people and their pets. It's really a blessing for me. And that's my big why for, when I have to learn new technology, it's like, this is why I'm doing it, or this is why, this is who it's for, kind of thing. Or like, you want me to do this? Do a what? That is why I encourage myself to do the things I'm doing, because there's a higher purpose that, like, well, Cindy, I was told on the other side when I crossed over the second time that I was being sent back to help millions of people and pets cope, heal, and move forward. And so I get guided every single day of what I need to do, who I need to speak to. And like, yourself, Cindy, that I have had like times where I just text you and say something, and then it turns out you needed that message for that day. I live my day
Yes.
every day where I listen to my thoughts. I follow through on the actions. And that's what I want you as the viewer to understand, that, when you have these thoughts, when you have these visions or messages, follow through, because you never know what will come out of it or who you will help. I think, Cindy, didn't you say it was your neighbor that saw the interview that Luann and I did first? And didn't she contact you? Was it from a neighbor? I can't, was it a friend or something?
No, it might have been one
Am
of
I
my
getting this mixed
girlfriends
up
that
with
live out
somebody
of
else?
town that wants to get in touch with you. But
Oh,
it
okay.
helped
Okay.
her just by telling her about what happened with me and you. She lost
Yeah.
her dog recently, and she wants to be in touch with you too now. But what you were
Okay.
saying,
That's where this
follow
is
these
coming in.
thoughts that enter your head. It was
Yeah.
actually Henry. We at Christmas time we went to the mausoleum to visit my mom. That's where she is, laid to rest.
Yeah.
And we could
Hmm.
hear a woman around the corner just sobbing and sobbing. And
Yeah.
my husband looked at me and he said, I don't know why I'm thinking this. He says, but God just put it on my heart to just go put my hand on her shoulder and let her know it's okay. So we went for a walk and we found the crying, sobbing woman. And we both put our hands
Hmm.
on her shoulder and said, sorry for your loss. We stayed there for about 20 seconds and then we walked away.
Hmm.
And she just looked up at us. I think she was blown away that somebody cared enough to acknowledge
Yes.
her. And we don't
Yeah.
know what kind of effect that has. If someone did that to me, I'd be very grateful that somebody cared, the kindness of strangers. So
Yeah.
even Henry's growing,
I know,
I'm
right?
starting to
This is
listen
why I
to
was
those
just smiling.
thoughts.
So one of the things that my husband Ross and I have happen all the time is that we get guided to go somewhere, and they sometimes are trips. They sometimes are go to the grocery store. They are go for a drive and have a picnic. We never know, but we always listen, and we're always guided to help somebody, whether that's a person or pet. And it's not about, oh my gosh, we were in Kauai, Hawaii, and this is the scenery and tourist thing we did. But no, for us, we were sent there because there was a tropical storm, and we had no power, nothing. We couldn't do any like surfing or anything. We were stuck at our resort, and we pooled our food all together, whoever had food, because stores they were gone, kind of thing, like not available to even get out the door. And I was there guided to give messages to a young couple with a son that had stage 4 cancer. And I kept hearing that he was going to go on and do greatness, and that the calmer and more at peace the parents were, the boy would be okay. And that boy now, I learned that he has his own cancer completely gone, and he has his own healing center, and he's making a positive difference for many, many kids that are diagnosed with cancer somewhere in the States. So see
That's
how, like,
incredible.
that's my idea of cancer, right? Like, or of Hawaii. So I can see that happening for you and Henry now that, you're both opening up. And look at Henry, like, he's like a new man. You just tell my little guy that I'm so proud of him. Like, look at that, that he would do something like that, right? So,
Yeah.
but is there any final words that you want to share with anybody? We've had a great show. We're almost out of time here.
I would just like to encourage people that if you're stuck the way I was stuck, and for me, I was down and out. I couldn't be any more further down and out. And you made it really easy to talk to. I just want people to know that. Don't be afraid. You can ask any question you want. You're not going to be judged.
Mm.
I think I cried through most of my session with you, and that was
I
okay.
think
You
we
make me
both
feel
did.
safe.
I cry with you, right?
Yeah. But I felt very safe to open up and tell you everything that was going on. And then the messages you told me were 100% real. There's no way you could have known that stuff. So I encourage people to get in touch with you for a session if they want to hear from their loved one or their pet, because I know people come through for you too. And I'm probably going to be in touch with you in March for a session with my mom because her birthday's coming up. And I'd like to hear from
Right.
her. It's been a long time
Yeah.
to actually have a
Yeah.
session
Well,
just with her. So yeah.
and
So
I feel like you're opening up so quickly that you're probably going to start hearing from her very soon and be aware of these
I hope
messages for
so.
yourself. But yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's the
So
other thing
well,
too.
yeah,
I just want to add one more thing is that before my session in September, I remember saying to you in my session, I'm not getting messages. I'm not getting messages from the dogs. I only had a couple that were unmistakable, but I wanted to see them more. And you said to me, they've been sending you messages. You've just been so stuck you can't see them. And ever since then, I've been seeing them all the time, and it's beautiful.
right.
So
It's
thank you for
incredible, isn't it,
freeing
when
up
it
that
happens?
blockage. Yeah.
Well,
So
I get guided from your pet, your loved ones, and I just follow through what they tell me. Just like right now, Jax and Gussie are sitting right beside me, and like before we got on this, were giving me message like, what you're going to be doing next, and I can't stop it because they keep at me to tell messages. So if you have worked with me or you are going to work with me, you can expect like what happens with Cindy, that I might be still getting messages after the sessions from your pets and loved one, and I don't hold that back. I do share that with you, as Cindy is sharing with you. Cindy, I love you. I'm so proud of you, and I
I love
know
you
there
too.
is
Thank
much
you.
more still for you to come. You're very welcome. Thank you for coming on today and for sharing your journey. And tell that husband of yours thank you for letting us share his experiences too. He's a really great
Absolutely.
guy, and I appreciate you both. So,
Thanks for
guys,
having
we are
me.
out of time. You're very welcome. We're out of time now. I do want to encourage you to go to my website, asksuelondon.ca. There you will see the live events that I'm doing. They're free. They're online through Zoom. I've got Reiki training for the classes are combining people, pets, and the planet healings. So you don't have to take a separate course for people, a separate course for pets, like majority of Reiki masters do. So I have that coming up, as well as I've got a new online course. It's the first one. I'm working on another one, actually recording it this afternoon. Of this one that's on there now is Simplify and Thrive. It's a 7-day transformative journey to help you to clear what you can, like, that's not serving you right. And it's just a challenge that I'm there cheering you on. So again, all of this is at my website, asksuelondon.ca. I look forward to seeing you again next week. I'm Sue London, wishing you much love and many blessings.